I think I started at you're okay. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so I'm Cap.
And I'm Lipstick.
This is Coping with Caffeine. We currently have our coffee slash, what is it that you drink again? Celsius?
Yeah, I think I converted to a from a Bull girly to Celsius packet girly.
That's honestly, like, I do Red Bull and then I do Crystal Light with caffeine when I can't buy a bunch of Red Bull because these cans are expensive and.
I was just gonna say, yeah, the Celsius packets, I it's way more caffeine.
Oh, wait, I didn't know
And
that. Oh.
yeah, it's like I think it's like 200 per packet,
Oh my
something like
god, it's
that.
like pre-worky.
Yeah, it's essentially pre-worky. You can't have more than two in a day, so I'm on my
Oh
second.
my god. Wait, that's actually crazy.
And
I had no idea.
yeah, and it's just way more cost efficient because these last me so much longer than just like buying six cans like
Yeah.
twice a week.
Oh my god, yeah.
So yeah,
If
so
if I had like an extra $20 to spare every week, like maybe a Red Bull, but like also I'd rather put that into food. I love food. So,
yes, yeah.
yeah, no. But yeah, that's our caffeine for today. What are some life
hmm
updates with Leap Deck? What has been going on with you?
Um, I finished another book,
Wahoo!
one that Sheba recommended. She was really hoping that I would cry because I told her
Oh,
that
wait.
I have a problem like crying
Yeah,
during
this is the
her
book.
books, and I
Oh,
didn't,
you didn't
unfortunately.
cry?
No, it was really sad
Oh.
and depressing, but I
Oh.
just I didn't. I don't know why. But anyway, it
That's
was
kind
really
of
good.
funny. Oh god. I didn't wait, did you
And
tell Sheba that you didn't cry?
yeah, she was like, "Dang it."
Oh my
So I
god.
think I think it's gonna be like a goal of hers to try to find books that
That'll make you cry.
will make me cry. Yeah.
Oh my god. Wait, that's
Um
impressive. But also me and Sheba are
yeah.
very sensitive.
True. I mean, I got like sad. You know like when your eyes get warm? Like the pre getting to cry?
What are you the pre-cry?
The
Yes.
pre-cry.
Yes, yeah, I
Yeah,
know
but
all about
nothing
the
happens.
pre-cry except
Yeah,
for I only get the pre-cry when I'm like near other people cuz I don't like crying in front of other people. So
I
that's the
see.
only time I get that. Otherwise, I just fucking bawl.
I see. You know, I get to that point and it goes on for long enough that I just stop. um so
That's
yeah,
crazy.
it was a good book. And I also realized that when this episode comes out, my sister will be in town
Oh yeah,
and I'll
Kier.
be getting a tattoo the next day.
Yeah, I
So,
forgot. Oh my god.
yeah.
You already had your
So,
consultation and everything, and that
I
went
did
good.
did.
Did you
I'm
get anything back
excited.
from them?
Not yet. Not
Okay.
yet.
Did they
But
say when
there's
they
still a
would
week.
send something?
Um No, he kind of said we would just like he would sit down and draw it and stuff and send me updates, but I
Uh,
mean, we still
uh
have a week.
okay, okay.
So, I'm being patient.
Yeah, no, that's like as an artist, I respect that and I
Yeah,
appreciate that, but also as an artist, I wouldn't mind one message that says, are we still good in a week? Just want to check in and like make sure that we're ready because some people will just forget to send updates when they say they'll send updates.
I
And it's not
see.
even like a pressuring thing. It's just like a, hey, I see you soon. And in an artist's mind, it's like, oh shit, yeah, yes, you do. And I haven't sent you anything. Like, it's like that realization thing. I don't know if it's for every
Uh,
creator, but like, I do it a lot, unfortunately.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
so we appreciate your patience, but also, if you
I
want to
mean,
check in, it's okay.
yeah, I might next week.
Okay, okay.
Like halfway through the week maybe. If
Yeah,
it's a
there
few
we
days
go.
before the tattoo artist, I'll be like,
Hi.
hey, so did the thing work out or did you
Yeah.
have to use other flowers or like what? So,
Yeah. No, I think that's a
yeah.
good idea, especially because then if he does need to make any changes, like he can do it before you get there, kind of thing.
Right.
I would
Yeah,
hate for
that's
you to
kind
get
of
to
what I
your
was hoping
appointment
for.
and like be like, ooh, I'm not too fond of this,
Yeah.
and then you're
Yeah.
just
So
waiting
we'll
on a
see.
sketch. Oof.
Right. Any updates for you? What has
um,
been going on this week?
this week has been hectic in terms of like work stuff and getting back in the groove of things.
Mm-hmm.
I felt very busy, and that's always a good thing for me, but also it just drains my battery a lot faster, so it just feels like I feel like far more exhausted by the end of the day than I'm used to.
Yeah.
But got a lot of stuff done, so that's always good. Started reading a
Good.
book, and you know the book because you also started reading it.
True. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Attach, The New Science of Adult Attachment is the book that we've been reading. Leap
Hmm.
Deck is further along in it, but
Yeah.
so far I really enjoy it. It's already made me
It's
cry.
yeah. It's very eye opening. If anything, it
And
just makes me feel more like secure in myself and how I
yeah,
deal with things.
yeah,
So
no, absolutely. And I've always had this like idea that my attachment style was a bad thing, and it's there's some good aspects to it. It's not all bad, and I can still work with it.
yeah.
But
Hmm.
regardless of the fact, um, in terms of like life updates, I work and I've played a lot of WoW, and that's about it.
Nice. Good.
So I don't think there's anything else that's like too remarkable. I feel like whenever I get back from a trip or like I don't know, people ask me about my week, I'm just like,
Hmm.
yeah, I did what I normally do,
Same.
and
I
it's the
usually
same.
don't defer from my usual
Yeah.
things that I like to do. So
Yeah, not very common of me to change that up. I will say though, in terms of anime, Sign of Affection is a Saturday anime, and I'm really excited for the episode to come out for
oh
that one.
shit. Also
Yeah,
free run
Free Run Friday.
is out.
Yes, technically
Yeah.
today, but like when people hear this, who knows? It'll be next Friday.
So
So
still applicable. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Free Run Friday every fucking week. I hope
Uh-huh.
forever. I love
Yes,
that fucking
forever.
show. It's so
It's so
good.
cute.
But yeah, no, I think those are like my only things. I keep up with the anime thing, and
Hmm.
I might mention a game or two every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our
Okay.
topic for today.
Yes. Our topic today is family. Finally, we've been
Whee!
talking, kind of like hinting at the fact that we're gonna start talking about family connections, and
Yes.
we're finally doing it. So we can't hold out any longer.
Right. As much as we've been like, oh wait, we'll get to this later. We'll get to this later. We're getting to it now. So
Yeah, it's better to hit it early on because it is kind of a big factor in how we deal with things.
100%.
So, yeah.
I want to say this time, since I started last, you should start.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
A little switch up.
Okay.
Oh,
Let's
oh,
see.
wait, is that bad? Oh,
I'm
is this a bad
nervous.
switch up? Oh,
No, no, no. It's not bad. It's just I'm so used to like you kind of like taking the reins and then me just like following,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I don't even know like okay. So do I start with like childhood or what?
Oh,
Or we just
absolutely.
get into the nitty-gritty?
Yes.
So overall family connections that I have, my parents are still together. I
Hmm.
feel like that's very rare in this day and age.
Oh,
Been
absolutely.
together my entire life, which I'm very like lucky to have. Um, I'm pretty close with my family. Um, I have one full-blooded older sister. I'm the youngest in my family. I'm baby.
Which is outrageous to me.
Um, yeah.
Everyone always assumes you're
uh,
older and like older than me, even.
yeah. No, I mean it's the same with my sister. We like
That's
to play that
crazy.
that game of like, hey, who do you think is older? And they always
Oh
say
my god.
me.
Yeah.
So it is a theme in my life that I'm usually like the oldest presenting for some
Mm-mm.
reason. Um, and then I have two older half siblings because my dad was married and got divorced before I was born. So yeah, I'm decently close with them, but I think with like the age difference, like they're together and they have kids and house and shit. So their
Mm-hmm.
lives are completely different than mine. Um, but yeah, so I think those are like the most important, I guess, family in my life
Yeah,
that make a
we're
difference, I
probably
guess.
going to be talking about more like immediate family than
Yes.
anything
Yeah.
else. Mine might branch out a little bit just because of like the whole like single mom thing, but
Hmm.
in terms of
Right.
like what we're talking about today, it's immediate family. Hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Um, overall, I have a pretty good relationship with my family, thankfully. Um, I'm a lot closer to my dad and my sister.
Hmm.
more so than like my mom and my other siblings. So I'll look into a why. I think I'm still learning and still diving into stuff because I don't know, talking to you about like family issues has
Yes.
opened my eyes more into
Yeah.
what like oh yeah that happened. I forgot. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, because you say that when I talk about stuff, you start to remember things.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you smell like a smell from your childhood and then it like creates memories that you forgot
Yes.
about.
I don't know why
It's kind
that
of like
made me
that.
laugh.
Yeah.
I think
I
it
mean
was
like
just the idea of you sniffing me popped into my head, and you're like, I remember now. Like,
I remember my trauma.
holy shit.
Yeah. No, it was just like, when we're talking about like your dad and my mom
Right.
stuff, and then
Mm-hmm.
you would say things that your dad would say, and it like it like broke a dam in me.
Yeah.
And I think that's another one of the times, like out of the four times that you told me the other day that I've cried in front of you. So
Yeah, which was barely, I mean, like,
it
I
was
commend you for the cry and being that state of vulnerable. But when I cry, I ugly cry. So like when
I
your
know.
eyes teared up and you said you cried, I was like, did you?
Oh, I
Did
was
you
looking away a
actually?
lot too.
Oh yeah. I was
Yeah.
trying to let you have your thing and process all the stuff, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
it didn't seem like you actually cried. I wasn't 100% certain. I knew that you were like distraught,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, it was a lot. So, how about you? How was your childhood?
oh, childhood.
Mhm.
Taha. I don't remember a lot, and that's probably
Me
for
either.
a good reason.
Yeah.
I would say in terms of like socioeconomics, we were lower income family, and then that slowly changed into single parent income, and so
Mhm.
like I guess money does play or it does have like a big factor in how I react to things and how um I don't know. Like I'm not a big person on gift giving because I feel like I owe somebody or I feel like
Oh,
they're
I'm
doing it
the
for the
same
wrong
way.
reasons.
Yeah.
It's not actually to benefit me or to be kind to me. I don't know why that actually I do know why. Um
Oh,
but
we know why.
oh, we know why. I say I don't know why, but I don't know why it still affects me to this age, because it happened in
Yeah.
my childhood and I've had good experiences outside of that and I want to grow out of that idea and thinking more positively when people try to like show me some sort of sign of affection. Um
Mhm.
and yeah, I don't understand for the most part why it's stuck, but I guess I think what is it? Like till the age of 7 are your most like they're the predominant years of like childhood development. And so,
Oh.
unfortunately for me,
Yeah.
that plays a part, and it's harder to shake those things and those habits and that type of mindset. But after my mom became a single parent, we moved into my grandparents' house, and that introduced Jerry and Carmen, who are my uncle and aunt. And this is what I say, or when I said earlier about branching out a little bit from the immediate family, I consider Carmen my second mom, and
Mhm.
Jerry's Jerry, but I loved him.
Jerry's Jerry.
Jerry's Jerry. It's just more the idea that like he definitely has his own thing going on. He's got kids, he's got family.
Yeah.
Carmen like texts me, when am I gonna see you next? All this other stuff, and so like Carmen has always been like someone I look up to and someone that checks in on me. And Jerry is someone that I used to harass as a little kid, and I
Yeah,
would
the
kick
male
him and
figure
pull on his
kind of.
leg hair.
Right, like
And
older brother kind
yes,
of thing. Yeah.
yeah, that was like my thing. But I guess like in terms of like having a role model figure for like a father figure, that he was it.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so and he was great. He did basketball with me. He introduced me to sports. So, um, like my grandparents, not so much. They spoke Spanish, so like
Mhm.
they did their best with the whole like Spanglish thing, where they would talk to me in Spanish
Yeah.
and English, which is why I do that.
Yeah.
And my sister is the only one that's actually fluent in Spanish because they were taught that like as their first language. My first language was just English.
Right.
Um, and
And
so
she's your older sister, right?
yes, this is where
Yeah.
Sasha comes in. She's great.
Hmm.
She's super smart. She's very different from me. I wouldn't say that like in the regards of like intelligence. I think we're both smart, but in different ways.
Yeah, different
Um,
categories. Yeah.
yeah, she's like very book smart and she remembers everything that she reads. It's kind of crazy, like the amount of information she can retain. I'm always
Hmm.
impressed by it. She's a high school teacher, but specifically in like science categories. I think right now she's doing biology.
Hmm.
And she's taught high school, and I think right now she's doing middle school. But she was with me for the entirety of my childhood. I do have half siblings, like two younger brothers, two younger sisters, and my two younger brothers stayed with me. I think until up until I was like in high school. So
Yeah.
I kind of helped with taking care of them, and so I don't know if I consider myself a middle child or like what am I? I'm technically the baby for my mom, but in terms of like
Right.
all the kids, I am in the middle, kind
Right.
of more
Yeah.
older than anything else because
Hmm.
everybody's younger and Sasha's the only one that's like the eldest. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think like a lot of cultural influences growing up would be um like the whole Spanish and English thing that
Hmm.
would like kind of affect my social interactions. I felt like I never fit in one category. I didn't
Yeah.
necessarily fit in with the Spanish speakers and I didn't fit in with the people that just spoke English. Um
Yeah. I kind of had a similar thing
yeah.
happen because I grew up in like a also a low income like middle class neighborhood, and it wasn't the safest neighborhood
Mhm.
to live in while growing up. Like my parents still live there, and I mean it's a lot more gentrified now than it was
Mhm.
growing up, you know.
Yes.
But um I don't know, I feel like even with like my good family like grow upbringing, like we were still like the only like white house
Yeah.
in like a 10 block radius
Which
all
is
around kind of thing.
crazy.
Yeah, so I mean elementary school, and I'm going to exclude middle school because I went to a different
Oh,
like
I see.
area, I
Yeah.
guess.
Like if you
So
would have
I live
stayed within your area, it would have been the same.
right.
I
Yeah.
see. I
So
see.
my sister and I went to a high school or middle school that was like removed from our neighborhood. So it was a lot more like white predominant, still like very mixed, but
Mhm.
and then back into high school, I was the only white girl in the entire school.
Jesus,
So,
that's so insane to me.
yeah. Which I am very thankful for. I think um it was a very like specific experience to have growing up.
Yeah. I would say so.
Um yeah. So,
In my school, and the reason why I brought up like a cultural influence having like an effect on childhood, etc., whatever else.
yeah.
Um, like my school was predominantly white, and yeah, like in any way possible to see that I was different, they saw it and they made it known. And so
Mm.
like
Yeah.
major part of like my mom playing a role in my childhood and into my adulthood, she has always been my best friend and like somebody
Yeah.
that I would talk to about everything. So never really had like the childhood friends growing up. It was more just
Hmm.
like me and my mom all the time. And so Carmen's my second mom. She's someone I look up to, and my mom is, you know, my mom, and she's
Right.
also another role model and somebody I aspire to be.
Your
Um,
mom's fucking awesome.
I love her.
She's
She's
amazing.
great.
I
I
love
used
her.
to tell people what was it? They would be like, "Oh, I love your mom," and I'd be like, "Me too. I like her. I'll keep her." Um,
Yeah.
like
I
every
like
single
girl
time.
keeper.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
her.
She's cute.
But what is it? I do think like growing up in a single parent uh type of environment was
Hmm.
definitely difficult for her and difficult on us, but I think she did the best she could with like the circumstances. And
Yeah.
there was a
Yeah.
whole lot of growth on her part that I didn't really understand as a kid. And like I we had mentioned in the previous episode, like the whole like here are 10 things that you cannot cross. These are my boundaries, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Teaching me that in second grade, like overall with my like interpersonal relationships really shaped how I talk to people, and maybe that could have been another reason why I maybe my standards as a kid were even very high when it came to making friends, and when I thought I wasn't
Uh,
being treated right. I kind of just saw myself out, you know?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I guess is this where we talk about the other stuff?
Oh, the nitty gritty,
The
the
actual the grit
trauma,
of it, you know?
the grit.
Cuz I have not mentioned
Yeah.
my father, but I should also go to say that Kirk, amazing stepfather. I would call him dad, but I'm just so used to calling him Kirk. Um
Yeah, it's the same basis, you know.
yeah, he did
He's
great.
also a very cool guy. I like him
Yes.
a lot.
So, he played a big role. Good job, Kirk. Love you,
Mhm.
dude. Anyways, continue.
Love you, dude. Yeah. Um so based off of what we've talked about just in our own time, you your big, I guess, problem child of the family or
Yes,
whatever, trauma center point is your father.
I would say so.
And mine came to light of not necessarily to the same like degree of your father,
Oh, that's okay
but
though.
the
Still,
same kind of along the same lines like narcissism, all that good stuff,
oh yeah.
is my mother.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's that's what we're going to be talking about
Go
mainly, I
ahead.
think. Um
Take the floor. It's all
me,
yours.
okay. So we kind of like wrote a little like synopsis of the
Yes.
things that our parents did or do still. I
Right.
think the only difference is that your father's not in your life, but my mother is still in my life. So I'm
Yes.
still dealing with these things and also like combating like still liking her and loving her and accepting
Yeah.
her. So it's
Right.
kind of like a hard line to tread, I guess. I don't know.
No, I get it. And for the most part, from what I understand, like there are very good qualities that your mom has, and like
Yeah,
those
she's
shine
an
so much
amazing
brighter
woman.
than you know some of the things that
Yes.
might happen. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
they're not that bad or anything, but she has some really fucking amazing qualities. So it's just like it's that
If anything,
balance.
yeah, like the bad qualities are like harder to see. So it's harder for
Yeah.
me to realize because I'm usually so like, oh, like I love my family type stuff.
Mhm.
So these only came to light because we talked about it. And I also talked to my sister about it the other day on the phone about if she felt the same way.
Mhm.
And she was like, oh yeah, I can kind of see like what you're pointing at, the things that she does,
Right.
like all that stuff. So I even got a little bit of confirmation from my sister.
Yeah. It's always
Um,
the is this just me or you
right,
know.
exactly, yeah. I guess the biggest issues that we have like this day and age, and we can go into like childhood and stuff if I remember,
Right.
um, is that like are the difference in just the difference of how she like expects me to be or like the idea of me
Oh, yes. I get what you're
than the
saying.
difference in who I actually am.
Mhm.
Like I know she accepts me for who I am, but she would I don't know. It's like a feeling of I feel like she would accept me more or be happier if I fell in line with the
Yeah.
idea of what she wanted me to be.
Mhm.
Um, so like the difference in my pronouns, like wanting to be called a different name, like it's still my name, but just a nickname.
Right.
I don't. It's just that sense of identity that she is having an issue coming to terms with or
Yeah.
using. Um, it's just like a small slight, but it still like hits me as
It's
hard when
it's like
she uses my
dismissive.
full name. Yeah, or if she uses like I don't know, like she's not trying as hard as I would if it was her kind of thing.
Right. Mhm.
Um and the difference in religion
Oh god.
and stuff. That was a
Felt.
huge thing for her. She just kind of assumed that I would be so my parents are and my family is heavily Wiccan, and I think I had a talk with her about like she assumed that I would go full force into Wicca as
Mhm.
heavily as like my sister and other siblings would. So I kind of had to talk to her about it and be like, "Hey, I don't really like believe in this stuff like that way."
Yeah.
And the basically the conversation instead of being like, okay, like I understand your beliefs and stuff, like that's fine. She took it as like a personal attack of
Right.
like, oh, so what you think that I believe in stupid things, like what I believe in is
Yeah.
stupid
Oh God.
kind of things. It was
Super
not a
defensive.
it's super defensive, super like if I don't agree with her on something, it's a personal attack.
Right.
So, yeah.
I just think that's so interesting because like the difference in our mom's like reactions to religion, because my mom is also very much I mean she's not Wicca, but
Hmm.
she's Catholic, and
Catholic,
me
yeah.
not practicing Catholicism, it just it would make her happier if I did do those things, and there are some things that I do participate in because of the sentiment, the ritual aspects that I think are, pretty and cute, whatever it might be. I do my best to participate in the things that I know she enjoys, and
Oh
that
my god.
also
The
being
pretty and cute shit. Sorry.
no, I just
That's also another thing. Just okay, yeah,
oh
continue.
no. Oh god. Yeah, I try to like accommodate to her, but I think I also get that accommodation back. Like I think when I was still living in Michigan, she was like, "Hey, like it's Christmas. I don't know if you want to go, but like if you don't want to, it's okay. This is like your break."
Yeah. I mean, that's
So
how my mom is now.
yes.
At first, she was like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah,
You
well,
know?
because she thought
And
you were
then,
attacking her person and
right,
people that make
exactly. And I just thought the entire religion was stupid, which, I, no, that's not what I said. I
yeah,
didn't say
yeah.
that.
Oh
So,
God. But
yeah.
I also think it's interesting because I grew up Catholic, but then I actually did read up on Wicca, and like I
Hmm.
have a lot of that kind of stuff in my room because there are like it's always the sentiment and the things behind, I guess religion that I end up appreciating, and then I'll just start collecting. And the one
Yeah.
thing I really appreciated about Wicca was like that you can do that like collecting of things and kind of make it your own, whatever like kind of gives you that like confidence, reassurance, whatever it might be. You don't need to believe in
Right.
the same things and you can kind of like do your own stuff. I
Hmm.
really liked that aspect of it. And so that's why I started reading up on it because I was like, there are some things that, Catholics do that I'm like, oh, that's like in terms of like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like I love the bread and wine idea being like a representation of like, body and blood. I'm like, wow, that's like super creative and honestly like I can see it, like I can visually see it and
Hmm.
I appreciate that kind of stuff. Like personifying like objects and whatever it might be um to mean something else. I love that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But regardless of the fact, I love that Wicca was open, more open.
Yeah. I agree. I like the sentiments and stuff.
Mhm.
It's just like my mom is very specific into the deities
Yes,
aspect of it
which I did
and
not
like
get.
believing in a higher power
Right.
kind of stuff. And that's the part that I realized that I didn't like mesh with. And that's the
Right.
part that she took defensively.
Yes.
Um yeah, I don't know. And I know thinking after the fact, I know it comes from her own upbringing and people because she was raised Catholic and Seventh Day Adventist. Um,
What the heck is that?
it's like a different subtype of Catholic. It's very
What the? There's
white
more
and
of.
conservative. It's
There's more.
it's it's a whole fucking thing.
Oh God! I thought it was like
Yeah,
Catholic, Orthodox, and then like that's it.
no, Seventh Day
What the
Adventist. It's
fuck?
it's much smaller and I think a shit ton more conservative. But
Oh
that's how
shit.
what she grew up in.
Yeah.
So she has a lot of insecurity around people attacking her religion.
Yeah,
So
and I
I
could
can
see
see where
her.
she got the defensiveness from.
Yeah, and
But
gravitating towards a religion that is a lot more freeing and
yeah,
I don't know, like
like
there's some
look
things in
down on
right.
other religions,
Right.
So I understand, but it still fucking sucked. you know?
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Um and also just like the pronouns and the sense of identity stuff, like growing up, she would try to be very like pushing me towards girly
Oh God.
and like what women should do and all this stuff. Like I think I told you like there was this one instance where she just kept telling me that oh, I should get a purse, and
Yes.
women have purses, and what are you going to do if you don't have a purse? Where are you going to hold your stuff? And I was like, Mom, I wear pants that have pockets. And if I don't, like, I don't know, a backpack or something, I
Right.
will never fucking have a purse. And she just could not understand it. And it was like that with a whole bunch of other things that I would
Mhm.
just like, she would be like, oh, I love this. Like, my hate of pink, the color pink, I hate it.
Yeah.
And she never understood it because I liked it when I was little.
I did
And
too.
she was like, yeah, she was like, you loved pink at one time. And I was like, Mom, I was 7 years old.
Right.
That is understandable for a kid to like
Yeah.
pink and then grow out of it and hate it.
Mhm.
And she just couldn't. It's
Couldn't
just based off the
separate from
fact
that.
she was like, you basically when I was little, I fit more in line of the idea that she had for me of what a daughter should be
I
or
see.
act or connect with. And then I think as I started growing out of it and liking different things, she kind of like panicked in a little way
Yeah.
of like, oh, I don't know how to, like, the idea of you is shifting and I don't know what that is.
You know what it
So
could
she
be?
tries to bring it back.
Right. You know what it could be though?
Hmm.
We're a lot more impressionable as kids, so like those ideas of how she thought, her kids should look, act, that kind of thing. We
Mm-hmm.
we
Her
we
extension
fall
of herself.
right. We fall more in line when we're younger. We're very
Yeah.
easily influenced because we're like, oh, that's like,
You buy
that's my
me pink
caretaker,
things, I'm gonna like pink. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, they can influence you to be and like certain things. Not that it's like intentional by any means. But
Yeah.
like I think the growing out of it is you realizing that you have your own likes, your own personality and things that you
Yeah.
enjoy.
Exactly.
Oh god. Yeah, my mom did the same thing. I will say I I don't know specifically what makes me so fucking stubborn, but I was so like adamant about hating dresses. I hated them.
Yes.
I like them
Agreed. Me
now.
too.
I like skirts now. I like these things, but like growing up, because my mom was like, "Hey, like what you should wear more of these things." I was like, "No, I don't wanna." And so like
Yeah.
I just decided that I hated dressing feminine and that I wanted to wear pants, shorts, and I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be like I didn't want to be put in a box, and I felt like the dress and all the girly things put me in a box.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm the same fucking way.
yeah, I
Yep.
wanted more options, which is why, like, as an adult, I do like dresses. I do like skirts. I also like pants. I kind of like when the pants are like baggy and shit, and they don't fit my form. I don't know.
Right.
I like having options, and I guess in terms of like how both of our parents dealt with it, I would say that I don't know if it was a combination of me being super fucking stubborn or my mom kind of like being like, all right, like I can't change this and I can't change you. But it just seemed like our conversations about those things didn't, it didn't disrupt us. Like she was always and will always be like my best friend.
Yeah.
I do know for a fact though, since my mom is my mom and I am who I am. We both wear our emotions on our sleeves, so I could see like
Mm-hmm.
the face that she would make when I
Yes. Oh
decided
my
to not
god.
wear a dress or when I did wear a dress, and I could tell the
Yep.
difference of like I'm pleased and I'm proud of you and yes, and then like disappointment, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the disappointment in turn like made me scooch, like, emotionally scooch closer to my dad, because I think regardless of like if I came out wearing a dress for prom, my mom was like super ecstatic, all this stuff. But when I came out in a dress as opposed to like the jumpsuit that I
Mhm.
instead wore, my dad had the same reaction. The
I find
same
that
reaction
cute.
both times. And my mom was like, when I came out in the jumpsuit, it was a lot more like stunted reaction,
Yeah,
you know? And I felt that shift. But my dad was just like you look beautiful in both. I don't give a fuck kind
I
of
love
thing.
that.
Yeah. And my mom was still like very like, I mean, I kind of prefer the dress, but like that type of shit.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Like I
So
know you don't even need to say it.
I know, mom.
Like
I know. You've been this way my entire fucking life. I
right.
understand what you want me to do, but that makes me not want to do it more.
Yeah. And that's also another difference is that like instead of me going to like a father figure or something to rely on emotionally,
Hmm.
I think me and my mom had to work it out because it was just me and my mom for a little bit, and then Kirk entered our lives, and he's very accepting of like everything. And if anything, he takes
Yeah.
on my interests because he's that cool. But
Yeah.
like he's funny.
Yeah. I
Um,
love it. He's great.
yeah,
We align a lot more because he's like the quiet, like
yeah,
while we're at family time, it's like you're there, and
yeah.
I heavily identify with that, so it's great.
Like what is it? There's different like dad vibes. Your
Yeah.
dad is very much like
Best bud dad.
compassionate, yes, best bud and like
Yeah.
supportive. And Kirk is a lot of those things, but then like everything is like a little bit toned down because he's just quiet and he just doesn't say anything. Like I get
Yeah.
quiet affirmation from him.
Hmm.
Like he doesn't really need to say a lot, and he's always been that kind of guy. And but I know he supports me regardless of that. You
Yeah.
know, it's just it's a
Hmm.
weird thing. Like he's the quiet dad, but there's also the dads that are like, hey, nice job, bud. You know.
Yeah. You know what I just thought about too
Huh.
is that you know how you just said that like I mean you didn't have that other person to run to when your mom was doing those
Yeah.
things, so
Mhm.
you had to work it out. I don't think, as much as I would love to hope for the best, I don't think my mom and I would have as good of a relationship we do now if my dad was not there.
Well, he's your guys' mediator.
Yeah, whenever I like whenever I have those feelings of like feeling small or not accepted or I feel like the rejection and the anger and stuff, I go to him and be like, "What the fuck is her problem?" Like all this stuff, and he'll be like, "Well, your mother, blah 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 blah," and we have one of those talks, and
Right.
he talks me down from the anger edge
Yeah.
and just like into acceptance, and I'm like, you know what, she's trying her best, whatever.
Right.
So yeah,
That's as much as we can really ask for. It's not necessarily like a shift in personality or changing themselves as people. It's just like meeting in the middle and like accepting on both ends, I guess.
yeah, yep, hmm,
Because you've also mentioned like your dad being the mediator of like, hey, your mom's like this because of whatever reason it might be, or maybe like the interpretation of this could mean I don't know. There's like he kind of like explains her outbursts or whatever it might be that like
yeah.
offended you, but
He has
he
like
also
that.
talks to her, doesn't he?
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of like growing up, my mom and I would get into a lot of arguments, or she would say something that would piss me off, and then I would like stomp away or whatever, like
Mhm.
the typical teenager bullshit. And then he would talk to me about it, and like he has that level of like patience with her
Yes.
that as I'm getting older, like I have more patience with her now
Yeah.
and just learning to accept some things that she does that will never fucking change. And but even so, like he still has to like talk to me about, I don't know, like getting to that point of seeing past my own personal emotions and seeing it from a perspective where it's not as easily acceptable for
Right.
her.
Mhm.
Um and then he's also had to like talk to her about how her saying certain things to me like hurts me,
Right.
and like I don't know, like she's very set, like she has very specific things that she thinks is right or wrong,
Mhm.
or she just doesn't fully grasp or understand.
Right.
And so he kind of like tries to get her to see where I'm coming from.
Mhm.
Um
Yeah, without
which
that
helps
mediator,
because
I don't
yeah,
know.
usually I'm too I'm too up in my emotions and too set in my anger to have try to get her to see the other way, because
Yeah. Well, it's the
I'm just
level
like,
of
well, fuck it, she's
patience.
never gonna fucking understand. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't blame you for it because I feel like it takes a lot. I love that your dad is like not up like in the I don't know how to explain it. Like he's a spectator rather than being in the middle of it because I feel like that
Yes.
leads to very unbiased opinions and therefore he can
Yeah.
be like he can I don't know, talk to both you guys so that you guys can both see each other's points of view. without it having any sort of influence. I feel like that can be super helpful in a lot of conflict, just in general. That like I've had to rely on Carmen as like my mediator. She's always told me like, you have a problem and it's like a social issue, bring me along or explain the issue to
Mm-hmm.
me. And if you want to make a phone call, I can be there for the phone call and I can be the mediator to make sure that, like, it doesn't escalate or,
My dad said the same fucking thing.
right. Because I feel like when you're in the middle of it and two parties are emotional, it's very hard to
Yeah.
gauge where the diffuse is. So it's like, and at that point, you
I
don't even fucking care about it. You're like, I'm pissed. I'm gonna fucking say what I want, and then that mediator's like, okay, okay, wait,
yeah. Pause.
hold,
Pause. Maybe before you say that,
right.
think this way.
So
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah. I mean, I think also like seeing him do that for us has helped me be that for other people.
mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
think I've
absolutely.
been that for you and other people a
Yes.
bunch of fucking times. And I
Yeah,
can
you
just see
are
both
my calm,
sides.
which is interesting
Yeah. But
because,
if I'm in it, then it's harder for me to be calm
which,
because the anger
yeah,
takes over.
I was gonna say in terms of like emotions, you get very
Hmm.
mad. I just get sad.
Yes.
So like in terms of like calm, you're like, okay, this is how we work through it, and it's the patience level. I can see all that.
Hmm.
I haven't necessarily seen you like super mad, but I feel like
I
I
will
can
say,
picture like,
when you text me about things that happen and you're not around and it pisses me off, that's when you don't see me be mad.
yeah. Well, even then, like sometimes you're in your room when you're mad, and I
That's
never see
true.
it. So like, it's
Well, because my anger should not,
oh
first of all, my
right.
anger should not affect other people. Like, it is my shit to deal with, and I do not want other people to be, I don't know, have it affect other people. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
not fair. And
Well,
that's something I learned very early on from my dad. So,
if you were to hypothetically ever kind of lose it at some point, like I would get it. I would be like, you know what?
yeah.
Like, it's almost like I'm happy that they can show this level of emotion because I would rather them feel something than nothing at all.
Okay, you've seen me mad.
I
Remember
have
when
seen you
like we
mad,
came
sort
back
of.
and I angrily took out boxes and did trash and stuff?
Yes, but again, like I see you kind of mad, and then you're doing something, and then I go do my own thing because I know that that's like the time that you want to be left alone or you want to do your own thing and just like be mad. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna give Liptic space so that they can do
yeah,
that and feel the
true.
emotion. But
Yeah.
like, if it ever slipped out and like, not necessarily if it was directed at me or anything, like if it just like you, let's say, like if you wanted to vent and you were mad, I would say fucking go for it. In terms
Yeah.
of like, when it affects other people, that wouldn't necessarily affect me. That would just be like, you know what, I feel bad that they're upset, but I'm happy that I'm here for them.
Mhm.
So just wanted to cover that basis just in case if it ever
Yeah.
does happen, the hypothetical situation.
Mhm.
But anyways.
Okay. I want to circle back since
Yes.
I've talked a bunch about my mom. Let's talk about your dad.
Oh. uh he's he's a lot. Like,
Uh-huh.
as
Yeah.
much as we can say like we love our families, cuz we do.
Mhm.
My dad does have like a lot of problems, and it's partially why he's not involved in my life anymore because I had to make the decision of like, this is no longer good for me, this is affecting me negatively. And the idea that blood is blood and like you can't just you know not have them in your lives, I disagree with completely. I feel
Oh,
like if
that's
it gets
bullshit.
yeah if it gets to a point where it's like affecting your like emotional well-being, absolutely cut them from your life
Yeah.
because it's going to help you, and they need to realize that they need to correct themselves in order to be in your life. Having boundaries with family is just as important as having boundaries with friends and romantic like partners. So
Agreed.
like, I made that boundary with him, but he was an alcoholic. He's depressed,
Mhm.
and he's very narcissistic. So like anything that I do is an extension of him, and his primary focus had always been like it's like beauty standards. So
Mm-hmm.
like that
Yeah,
caused a whole lot of issues on my end.
yeah, we brought that up a little bit with my mom's like perfect view of
Right.
that thing. So there's some crossover of some stuff that your dad would do and some things that my mom still does to this day.
Yeah, which is why you might have not necessarily realized it, but I've had a lot of time to process that, I don't
Right.
necessarily say that my dad has narcissistic tendencies. I would say that he is a narcissist. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
for sure. Yeah, it's a
Because
lot
of,
more drastic and
yeah,
awful.
um, like he told me as a kid, I don't even know what age. It's like the only fuzzy memory that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'm drinking juice, and I know he's drunk because he's slurring his words, and he's like,
Uh-huh.
"Don't drink that, you're fat," you know?
Oh my god.
Right. And I don't even know
Such
how
a
old.
fucking dick.
Right. And so I just I'm like into adulthood. I'm like, I don't know why I have this sense of like I don't know what I look like, or this like body dysmorphia, or I can't
Even just
gauge
like
where I'm at.
eating issues, you
Oh
know?
god. Yes.
Yeah.
Being in a like Hispanic family where you feed, you eat, and that's like like if you don't eat the food, like yeah, you don't appreciate family.
It's
What are you doing?
disrespectful.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, guys, like my stomach is actually really fucking small. I eat not a lot, but I eat frequently. So that's the difference. I like
Yeah.
snacks rather than like really hefty meals, but like all Hispanic dishes are hefty.
Oh
So
yeah.
I tend to not eat a lot of it because of like the weight of it. And yeah, like that oh, you got to finish your plate, and then my dad being like you're too fat and like you need to stop doing that. Here's some running shoes. Um
Jesus.
right. Anyways, it was very
Anyways,
conflicting
Jesus.
conflicting viewpoints, and so like I just ended up
Yeah.
with not a very good sense of self growing into
Mm-hmm.
adulthood, and that's why I think it still affects me today, where I just don't know my size. I definitely feel a lot better about where I'm at, and I feel more comfortable about like what I think is healthy for me than letting my family decide that for me.
Mm-hmm.
um I've gotten to a point where that doesn't necessarily affect me, and I just want to be healthy, and that's it. I don't care about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
um but in terms of like childhood and growing up and being with my dad and the like constant like I don't even know, like anything that I did would just it would just make me either larger or freckles on my face, ugly, get
Oh
rid of
my
those,
god.
you know.
Yeah.
And then when I do get rid of some, he's like, "Wow, you look a lot better," you know. Um yeah, just like the constant like
I've heard all of this stuff
appearance
before, but just
shit.
hearing it again, I'm just like, oh my
Oh,
god.
yeah. I mean, this is why I don't necessarily put a lot on looks, and I don't care for what I look like. I want to be someone that is funny or someone that is kind rather
Right.
than having people see that, because growing up that just did not turn well for me.
Mm-hmm.
It just isn't what I want to have identifiable with me as a person. There are
Yeah.
other things and other traits that I think are good. Um but yeah, and then him being like an alcoholic, having issues maintaining his depression, and just like being in and out of my life in terms of like divorce, and just in general when we would schedule visits, it was like a 50-50 shot if he would show up.
Yeah.
So that anxious attachment style developing very young, and then my abandonment issues, whatever,
Yeah.
man. Um
Whatever, man.
whatever, man. But like, yeah, no, he kind of fucked my shit up, but I'm still working on it, and I think I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
better. But this is why he's no longer in my life, and why I don't typically bring him up. I do think there were some points where he was kind, and I don't necessarily harbor any bitterness towards him. Um, it's like it is what it is, like that's just what
Yeah.
happened, and now I have things that I have to deal with now, but like that's my own thing, and I need to be able to, you know, pick up my bootstraps and get myself out,
Yeah,
Or I can
partner.
talk to other people, friends, family, and they can help me, of course, if I need that support. But
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it's just he did a bunch of shit. So it's hard to say one very specific thing, but I would say that like his thing was very like beauty standard like related, I guess.
Yeah. Like how you look is a representation of me and my character. So
Right.
you have to look a certain way for people to know that like we're a unit, like you
Yeah,
came from
and
me,
that we're
you know?
perfect. That's why he wanted me
Right.
to be presented and seen as beautiful because he thought he was beautiful and perfect. And whenever Sasha would get compliments, it was always in reference. Like he almost kind of started like the competitiveness because like Sasha did everything
I was
right,
just about to say, yeah, it
and
sounds very.
yeah, uh, I don't know, like luckily for Sasha, and I'm so happy for Sasha, Sasha had a faster metabolism, was very athletic very early on, and just never had like weight issues, but mine has always fluctuated. And so, like, having, a sister that is like praised more or like given more attention because of those things, and then like
Mm-hmm.
seeing myself and being like, oh, they're not paying attention to me because I'm not like that, you know? And so,
Yeah.
like, developing really bad fucking, like, I don't even know, like self image
Mm-hmm.
and, kind of like lowering my standard for like how people treat me because of that reason. I'm like, oh, well, they treat me like this because of that, just like my dad.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Not very healthy at all, but, definitely have gotten a lot better, and I'm definitely a lot closer with my sister now. I wouldn't say
Mm-hmm.
that we were mean to each other ever. I mean, there's some things that I'll bring up that I think are funny, but like I brought it up at her bridal shower, and she was
Mm-hmm.
so embarrassed. She was like, "I can't believe you told people that," 'cause she felt so bad because I think it was fourth grade. I
Mm-hmm.
loved cats. I have always loved cats, and I
Right.
wanted to be a teacher, and I was obsessed with my teacher, Barbara. She was so
Mm-hmm.
cool. I wanted to be just like her. And so I talked about her all the time because I didn't have any friends.
Right.
So she started calling me Barbara Cat Poop. And, like,
uh,
that was like her thing of making fun of me?
yeah.
I mean, whatever. I thought it was hilarious. Like, as an adult, I'm like, that is a fucking clever name, Barbara Cat Poop. I'm just saying.
Uh,
I liked it. I thought it was funny. And so I mentioned it at the
yeah.
bridal shower, and she's like, I can't believe you said that. Like, I think it's funny. I think it's
Well, you
good.
called me this, so
Right.
yeah,
I was
I'm
just,
saying it.
I don't know. I didn't really think it was like a big deal. But
Yeah.
I guess like
I think it's.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I just was gonna say I think we just see it from different ends. I saw it as like you know, like this is how siblings act. Like I mean, they can be kind of like they can poke fun at you, but they really do care about you regardless of that. So I didn't think anything of
Yeah.
it.
I was gonna say, like, my sister and I have never fit into the usual sibling tropes.
What
I
do you
feel
mean?
like our relationship is very unique, I guess, in a sense. Like, we're more best friends than
Yeah, I love that
siblings.
though.
And we never had like that like picking and bullying kind of
Oh, I see.
nickname calling type of relationship.
You guys have like
Because
how many years apart? Is it the
just
same?
four.
Oh, it's the
Yeah.
same as me and my sister. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
Continue.
Well, I think it's just like well, my sister, and this is not a bad thing at all. Like, I love people who are more sensitive to things
Mm-hmm.
and wear their emotions out and express all their emotions. And my sister is a lot more along those lines of
Yeah.
like takes everything to heart, like cries when things upset her, that kind of stuff. So I think my patience and support comes out more around her and how I like grew up, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's more about like us meeting each other at the same level, and then her supporting me when I'm upset, and then same goes for her. So it's more of like a supportive
Yeah.
relationship and more fun than like competitive. But I
Yeah.
definitely felt the competing when I was younger because she would
I
get a lot more attention from my mom
yes. I
when I was
remember you
younger.
mentioning this. I'm going to say one
Yeah.
thing, but I want you to explain that further because
Okay.
I do think it's like it's an interesting point cuz I
Mm-hmm.
think our like in terms of like success and how our parents dealt with it, I think we both have very specific experiences, so I want to get into that. But the only
Yeah.
reason why I asked about age earlier is because my brothers, my younger brothers, are very much like that. They're best friends, and I always thought it was an age thing. But I mean, it very much could
Mm.
just be that, there are some siblings that have that type of relationship because you guys are 4 years apart. But like,
Yeah.
I like literally just associated, oh, well, I mean, they're closer in age and it's probably very easy to understand and they probably feel more like, you know, associates or what do you call them? Colleagues than me and my
Yeah.
sister would be because, she's older, so obviously superior. She knows more, she's been on this earth more. I don't know. Regardless, like I thought it was an age thing. So I think
I
it's interesting that you
see.
guys are 4 years apart.
Well, I think the difference in, I think just the way that we both think, and we've talked about this before, just us two, about like my emotional maturity
Yeah. Oh, a lot
is a
higher.
lot higher
Mm-hmm.
for my age, and she has trouble grasping like people's intentions or like tone and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Well, if
So when
you're super
things,
sensitive too, it can be really hard to gauge that kind
yeah,
of thing.
exactly. And that's always been an issue for her. So a lot of times, like when she's upset about what someone said or something set her off, or she thinks a certain way of what someone meant,
Right.
I
Oh
was
God.
always kind of the person to be like, I don't actually think that they meant it this way. And if you think about it this way, then that's probably what they were thinking, or like, along those lines.
It's so funny
So
that
I
you say
think,
that because you do that for me too because I'm also
yes,
hypersensitive. So
yes.
like that's so interesting. You were prepared for me before I even met
Yeah,
you.
yes. I I had a lot of training, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it was good
But
though.
because, yeah, well, because you know how we talked about how my emotions, the first usually that comes out in the forefront is anger.
Mhm.
And my sister and you usually, like, you can feel like that level of irritant, but it usually comes out in crying
Yeah.
and just
I
being
think
upset overall.
sad usually comes out
Yeah.
second for me.
Yeah, she gets more upset that she was so upset, you know.
Oh, I get
Like,
that too. I get that all the
yeah,
time. I'm
she
like,
she
why
gets
am I
more
like
mad at
this?
herself for being
Yes.
like for crying. And I'm like, "No, like that's just how you express your emotions. It's fine. You don't
Well,
have to change a thing."
when you get told that you cry too much, you start seeing it as a problem, crying as a
Oh
problem,
my
because
god.
that's fucking what happened to me. And I mean, I love my
Such
mom,
bullshit.
right? She's great. But
Uh-huh.
she is someone that had told me very early on, like, you just cry so much. What, like, stop
Jesus.
crying, And to
Yeah.
a certain extent, I'm also saying that, and that's why I'm still crying. I'm like, why can't I stop? It's just like all the emotions are heightened, especially in ADHD and from what I've researched thus far. So like I know
Yeah.
that when I feel something, was it you that related it to volume?
Volume.
That might have been somebody else that related it to volume. It's like putting up the
Oh, yeah,
volume all
yeah,
the
yeah.
way.
Yeah, because we were comparing it with someone else who, when they get upset, they
They
turn the
turn it
volume to
down.
0.
Right.
But you, when you're upset, you turn it up to 100.
All the way up. And
Yeah.
so like instead of just feeling the baseline upset, I'm maxed out. And for
Mm-hmm.
some people they just turn it completely off, which is when,
Me.
I mean,
Yeah.
it happens in BPD and it happens in ADHD. It's that feeling of numb. I've
Yep.
never really had that because mine are always heightened. They're always like maxed the fuck
I
out.
will. Yeah, the numbness comes from turning that volume all the way down.
Yep. So
So,
I just think that's really interesting. I don't know. Hypersensitive and being sensitive to people's emotions, tone, their body language.
hmm,
Um, I was just reading about it actually in the book
yeah.
attached, and like the anxious attachment style is what I am, and what
Hmm.
they're the first people to realize when those emotions change.
Yep. They feel that shift a lot faster than,
Yeah, which can be
yeah,
helpful, but it
avoidance.
can lead to overthinking and jumping to conclusions, which is where it becomes an
Yes.
issue. So,
The jumping to conclusions part is where I need to tuck you and my sister back from the brink
right.
of
Because
just
we
assuming the
we just
worst.
full send. We're like, oh my god, they hate me and they're never gonna talk to me again, or I fucked
Hmm.
up so bad that they're never gonna talk to me again.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it's just a bad mindset. But
Yeah.
anyways, regardless of the fact, I'm happy that you know, have the experience of being like the outside person, being like close to someone that is either anxious attachment style or just sensitive in general, you know?
Yeah, I
It's
think
really
it's
helped.
helped a lot for me. Like, I mean, just like having patience in general for when people are upset, um, especially if it excludes me. I
Right.
feel like if I was more included, like when my sister gets upset about something that I was there for, I get mad.
Mad.
Like if my mom says something that it upsets my sister, I get pissed
Yeah.
because my sister's like hurt, and I
Mhm.
go into that protective mode
Yeah.
very fast. Um, but yeah, so I guess growing up, like my dad's always been like that baseline of like patient and talks very like quietly, like monotone kind of, like trying to help you stay calm when your
Yeah.
emotions are heightened. Um and my mom, I don't know, she says what she thinks she wants us to hear. My dad just kind of like says what we need to hear,
Right. Mhm.
like that
Yeah.
difference.
And I do think like execution is also super important. Um, in terms of like your dad and how I've experienced like interacting with him. Like I have
Yeah.
never heard him like in terms of like if there was like a certain emotion present, he has always remained calm even when upset or even when
Mhm.
things can be a little bit frustrating. Like he's just always had that very same level of like, I we have a problem, but
Mhm.
I want to get through this and that doesn't change how I feel about you kind of thing. Like that's just like the vibe that I get from how he talks. Like I never his tone doesn't shift, so I don't think he's upset with anyone in particular. He just wants to explain and get through it, you know?
Right. He's very hyper vigilant about like, well, like the whole thought of like when you're in an argument, like you should say things more intelligent than raising your voice, because raising your voice doesn't do anything.
Yeah, if anything it just escalates or it can for some people like me and you it can like trigger fear.
Yep.
So it makes it very unproductive.
Yeah. Um so I think, yeah, that's the big difference between him and my mom. I feel
Mhm.
like when I'm upset about certain things, I feel a certain level of judgment from her, whether she means it or not. But my dad's just very like matter of fact, kind of, and just be like, "Well, you feel this way. This is this is just how you feel. So
Right.
you need to work through how you feel." And my mom's just like, kind of like, "I don't understand why you feel this way, or you shouldn't feel this way, or
Right.
like that certain along those lines."
They're like a level of stubborn that I'm at to
Yeah.
like a certain extent with very particular things. Like I don't I feel like I have more wiggle room when it comes to people's emotions and trying to understand where they're coming from, etc., etc. But like it seems like they're very stubborn on changing their mind about it's like that right or wrong. It's very like it's right or it's
Oh my
wrong.
god, you can't tell her that she's wrong.
Right.
Yeah. No. Yeah, no. Never.
I
Um
yeah,
that feeling of like, I don't know. I think that's where some of my avoidant tendencies come from,
which is so funny to me.
because I think she'll say something that I do not agree with, or it pisses me off, or whatever the fact may be, but I just kind of let it go and avoid the whole situation in general, to avoid that conflict,
Mhm.
because I know it'll lead to a fight, and it'll lead me being hurt and stuff.
Yeah, and you just don't want that
Yeah,
hurt.
because it won't change her viewpoint, and it's not worth it. So I just kind of have to give up on standing up for my beliefs, and just be at peace with that I believe what I believe. You know.
It's interesting that because like we both connected from mom to dad even though like in terms of like intensity it might be different
Yeah.
like instead of me gravitating towards like an avoidant attachment style I gravitated towards the anxious attachment style where I thought it's my fault that they're like this or it's my fault that this is happening and that
Mhm.
I should cling harder, which is probably why like for a long time my dad stayed in my life because my
Mhm.
sister stopped talking to him when she was in high school, but I kept talking to him up until college, my sophomore year.
Right.
which is what my brother
Yeah.
did too. So like there comes a certain point where you finally realize that this is just like toxic or something.
Yeah.
But I just think it's
But
really
anxious
interesting that
attachment takes a lot longer to get there.
right, but you got the avoidant. I find that so interesting because it's like baseline similar tendencies and things that happen to us, but we both translated it differently almost.
Yeah. I think that's very specific though. Like I think I have more anxious attachment tendencies,
Mm,
but when it comes to like protecting my feelings or protecting my sense of self, I get very avoidant, especially with my mother. Um,
I see.
yeah.
I don't have
So I
any
just
of
kind of
that, so I don't know what that
avoid
is.
topics. Yeah. I just kind of avoid topics that I know will make me upset because I know that where her viewpoint is. So we just don't talk about it.
We haven't I think we should actually like once I finish reading and once you finish reading, we should talk about attachment styles and the book that we read. Um
Yes, I was thinking that too.
but when we took tests and scores within the book, like the two things that were present for mine like absolutely were secure and anxious attachment styles. So I think like
Hmm.
me fighting for my sense of self was still present. But my willingness to accept that, is probably my fault or I'm the one who caused this is why I have a mixture or a combination of the two because I never
Yeah,
gave into it. I just was like, okay, they just don't see things how I see it. And you know what? Their point of view is valid. And I would kind of like, make excuses for why it's okay that they did the things that they did to me.
right.
So it's
Yeah,
it's a weird combo to be both secure and anxious attachment. I just think
yeah.
it's funny that you have a mixture of all
I
three.
have all three.
I have no
Yes.
avoidant. I hate avoiding things with a passion.
Yeah.
I hate
They're
not
like,
dealing with it.
yeah. There are some certain things that I defer to avoidant because I'm protecting my feelings from being out there. Or
Yeah,
I mean it comes from like the
vulnerability.
fear. Yep. Mhm.
Yep.
It's just what I was
How
gonna
we
say.
always talk about it. Yep. Literally
Yeah.
always at the forefront.
Yeah.
It's
It
okay
it
though.
yeah. I'm working on it.
Hey, a lot of people
I
are. It's difficult.
yeah.
It sucks.
I don't think I've ever I think like minus from you and my family, I don't really have a lot of other people that like I feel secure in having that level of vulnerability with. So I just don't have a lot of like practice in
That's okay.
being vulnerable, especially with newer people.
Yeah.
It takes me a little bit.
The interesting thing is like I think it's like a level of trust and I mean to a certain extent we could say too trusting. I trust that
You
people
do.
have good
Yes.
intentions. I
You trust
trust
them very
that
quickly.
yeah, I trust that they will be good people just in general. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt and I think that's where the anxious attachment style, is good because like you know, I feel like in terms of reading people, it might be a little skewed. I definitely still do like the pedestal thing where I only see the good, I don't see anything
Oh
else.
yeah, me too. Yeah.
Um but yeah, to a point where it's like to my own detriment of like, well, I only see good and it's not like they've done anything that bad, but it's like they've done quite a bit that should have kind of been the end of things. And that's why I talk to you about a lot of this stuff because, like,
Hmm.
you're the person who brings me back to reality, or you're the person that reminds me, like, hey, that's not right. They shouldn't do that to you. They shouldn't treat you like that. No
Hmm.
excuses. And
No
so,
excuses.
right.
It's just the way
Um,
it is. Very matter of fact, very
yeah.
blunt.
And I just went through the chart in the book of, like, falling into the, what is it called again? I forget the word that they used.
Anxious avoidant trap? Or
No,
what?
it's the hold on, attachment system. Finding your
Oh,
comfort zone. You're the person that
yes.
like brings me out of the danger zone
Yes.
cuz I'll get
Yeah.
there. I will.
Hmm.
I'll jump.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Wait, brakes. Brakes. It's not
Pause.
that
Pause.
bad.
Yeah.
We can recover from this.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. It's
I
not the end
just
of the world.
right. Oh god,
Yeah.
when it comes to this is another word that I have difficulty with because it's like the world is ending. What is it? I think I said it in our first episode because I couldn't think of the word for like ever, and then finally it popped up in my brain. but I tend
Oh
to
shit.
think of like worst case scenario almost.
Yeah.
But like to a point where it's like super super bad.
Yeah, like the world's falling apart.
Yeah, what is that word? Oh, it's gonna
I
bother
don't.
me.
I'm blanking
Fuck!
too now. Holy
Another
fuck.
word! God damn it. But okay.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of like rejection sensitivity, I kind of want to touch base on that.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, I'm gonna look up a word, but
Oh.
you tell me about your sensitivity to rejection because I also have that shit.
Okay. In regards to my family, I think I have a lot harder time bringing things up because, especially with my mother specifically, um, because like we talked with like the facial expressions, like she won't say a lot if she doesn't agree with it, but I her face says more than what her words can say.
Mm-hmm.
So if she disagrees with something, it's very noticeable. Um, so I think growing up, it was a lot harder for me to bring stuff up with her because I was worried that she would reject how I was feeling or what I believed in or
Right.
something like that. Um, so I think that is a big
Ow.
stem of where my rejection sensitivity comes from. Obviously, like other factors too, but going back to like just family things, I think that's where predominantly came from,
Mm-hmm.
of just like not feeling comfortable or not feeling comfortable being vulnerable like that with her.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Um,
That very
even
much
if
could have
she,
developed then your fear of vulnerability.
yeah, because as much as she would say like I'm here for you, like you can tell me anything, all this stuff, like, but when it comes down to it, certain things she would not take it very well, or
Yeah.
it would make me feel like I was stupid for thinking a certain way, or
Or it's like the
I
the
would say
actions
something and she'd be
speak
like, I
louder
can't
than
believe you,
words.
yeah, or I would say something about how I forgot what you said the other time that like made kind of like
Well, I
the
didn't mean it like
dam
that.
break. Oh
I
my
can't
god, I
believe
can't
that
believe.
you would think that I would say that. I didn't
Yes,
mean it like
dude.
that. That's what my
You
dad would
think
do.
I would? Yeah. Oh my god, that's I got that so much from her,
Yep.
and
It's a
yeah, I didn't realize
narcissistic
it.
tendency. It's a way of
Yeah.
manipulation, which is, again, I had a lot of years to process everything that my dad did. But,
Hmm.
you know, your mom might have tendencies that kind of lean towards that, whether it's their intention or not. It does, um, it's apparent and it shows up,
Yeah,
even in
I think
the
that's harder for
smallest.
me
Yeah, no, if it's
because
like,
I know she's not meaning it at all. You
right.
know, but and still have to be okay with the fact that she's doing it. It's very like I don't know, like a double-edged sword for me.
Yeah. I guess
It would
like,
be much easier for me to grasp it if she was meaning to be mean, but
mm-hmm.
she's not. So it's hard for me to validate
It's
myself being
a
hurt.
microaggression. That's the word I was trying to
Yeah.
think of for what it is technically called, but it's like
Okay.
invalidations, offensive behavior, insults, put downs, whether they're like intentional or not. Well intentioned individuals who may be unaware and have engaged, they just, it's a microaggression. They might be meaning the best, but it's not coming off that way. And if anything, it's hurting you. So,
Yeah.
yeah, microaggressions.
Yeah.
By the way, I found the word.
Oh.
So I have a bad habit of catastrophizing.
Catastrophizing.
Yep, to a point where
That's
it's
the word.
borderline nihilistic.
Yes.
It's very like world ending.
Mhm.
Because I basically, I've always called it, I've been stewing for a bit. You know, I've let
Yes. Yep.
myself sit in it. I've been what's it, simmering.
Yeah. You've been
I always
cooking.
relate it to food. Don't let me cook
Yes.
in this case for
Yeah.
the Zoomers. Don't let me cook.
No. Don't let me cook.
I should not
I'm
be cooking.
stewing.
Get me out. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, it's like that idea of just like sitting in it and thinking to a point where it's, not good for me or other people because I then act on those thoughts. But, it's that jumping to conclusion and the assumption aspects that tend to be like where the anxious attachment style, they falter, because like
Mm-hmm.
it's a good thing to be able to perceive and be empathetic and be like quick to react to certain emotions. And for a lot of my childhood, that saved me, which is why I do it, which is unfortunate. Um,
Yeah, because
Being
you
able to
had
pick
to
up
learn
right
to save
whether
yourself.
whether
Yeah,
my dad was going to blow up or not, and how he was going to act
right.
towards me because he blew up or
Yep.
not. So like I needed to be quick on my feet, and like um that's where it's good. But I sit in it and I stay there to a point where it's like unhealthy.
Yeah.
So
Hmm. That's also why another reason why I avoid certain topics or avoid saying certain things, because I know that she'll do that. She'll get very upset and
that's what sets them
almost
off.
explode in her way. Like it's never like physically explode, but just
Hmm.
oh, she'll go off, and I can't do it. It pisses me off.
Yeah, my dad would do the emotional and physical to a point where it's like that's why the like, loud noises freak me out, or
Oh yeah,
like
for
me
sure.
walking really quiet. That's like I
Mm-hmm.
did not want to be perceived.
Not
Just in
didn't want to be a
case,
burden. Yep.
because like if he's upset, then everything sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a lot of why I do certain things that I do. My apologies for everything. It's always my fault, so I'm sorry. Trying to grow
You
out of
know,
that.
I was just thinking that a lot of those tendencies for me come from my dad and things that my dad have said to me young when I was younger.
I see.
There like he I have a very specific memory of him calling me a chatterbox.
Oh
Um
my goodness. So that's what
about me the walking
made you
around.
quiet.
Hmm.
Oh
And the walking
God.
around, he said, "Why are you stomping around the house?" When I was just walking. So
Right.
I walk very quietly. Um the quietness in the morning was because of my mom. If I ever made a noise, she would wake up, and it was never a good thing.
Right.
So I'm very quiet, just all the time, very quietly closing doors and all that stuff to not, be perceived.
Mhm.
So it's a mixture for both
Yeah.
of them. Because
I
my dad
mean,
would make specific comments that I still remember.
yes. Oh God.
Um,
It's like those
so
really foggy, weird memories that you have as like a child that I'm like,
yes,
oh, I don't really remember, but I think I remember. Like I thought that whole thing with the juice was a dream because of how foggy it was, but
yes,
I
I told
talked
you about a
about it.
specific memory too.
Yeah, I talked about it with my mom, and they're like, that sounds like something that would happen. He made comments like that all the time, that kind of thing. My mom is someone
Yeah,
that would never speak bad on an ex partner, but my dad was very much someone that would always talk bad about their previous partners, etc., etc. So like, it's just
right.
so different.
Yeah, my mom talks shit about previous partners of my dad.
Interesting.
So my his ex-wife, which is my two eldest siblings' mother,
Uh huh.
she would talk shit about her my entire childhood. And granted, she is an awful woman, but I would still like I don't know. There's that like
Wait, is
narcissistic
this?
kind of
Well, yeah, it's I'm better than her.
exactly exactly.
Is that the mom of your siblings?
Yes, so my two eldest half siblings, David and Charlotte,
Mm-hmm.
her mother or their mother is Barbara.
Okay.
And so Barbara, we used to call the wicked bitch of the West because my
Gotcha.
mom would talk shit about her all the time.
To be fair, like my mom would basically just say like, um, your dad didn't treat me the best, but he's still your dad, and so I'm not gonna talk bad about him, and I will not
My
talk
dad
bad
has the
about
same.
any of the people that he's been with because some of those people are parents to your siblings, and I don't have any need to talk bad about them when your siblings are your siblings. They're great kids, you know, and
Yep.
so that she just doesn't kind of she just kind of is like that's not my business, and also I don't have any say. But I love the people that are in my life now, kind of viewpoint.
Yeah, my dad's very along those same lines. It's just like, yeah, she like there's a reason we got divorced,
Right,
but I'm not gonna talk bad about your current mom, even
right.
if they are closer to my mom and stuff. But even then, like
wouldn't say anything bad about their
There's
parent.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like again, like blood is blood, that type of relationship. It's okay to cut ties, but that doesn't mean that you have to hate them or anything,
Right.
you know.
Exactly.
So I don't know. It's a weird again balance and being able to say that like I love my dad, he did some shit. Does that mean he has to be in my life? No.
Right. Yeah.
I'm choosing not to have that be the case because there's just like a lot of manipulation and I don't know, just a lot of shit that I did not want
Hmm.
to deal with going into adulthood and creating a safe space for myself.
Yeah.
So, but
I do
yeah.
want to revisit the memory thing of thinking that it was a
Oh
dream.
god, go ahead. You can do it now. Do it.
Well, I just wanted to say in preface that growing up, my dad had he's a lot better about it now, but he had really bad anger issues
Mhm.
growing up, which were like the explosive kind. And there's this very specific memory that I have of him like carrying me up the stairs by my ankle.
Oh my god, you told me about this. Yes.
Yeah, and I talked to you about it and my sister, and I was like, "Oh yeah, do you remember like the fun time of like when Dad would carry me up the stairs by my ankle?" And my sister was like, "He was mad at you, like you were in trouble." And I
Oh
was like,
my
"Oh,
god.
really?" I don't remember what happened before.
Right.
I don't remember what
Oh
happened
god.
after. I just remember the very specific moment of just going up 3 steps and him carrying me by my ankle.
Right. And
But I
I
don't remember
think
anything.
you mentioned that because I was like, yeah, there was a point where my dad threw me in the back of the trunk and
Yes.
like in my
You thought it was
my
fun.
child
I thought it was
brain,
fun.
I was like, wahoo, I'm in the trunk. I'm not
Exactly.
allowed back here. This is sick. And
Mhm.
like, um I had a really weird relationship with being in the trunk because my dad kind of made it seem like it was a fun thing and like he would
Mhm.
blast music and me and my sister would chill back there sometimes and there was a point where we went to a grocery store and this is where it had to stop because people saw him putting us in the back of the trunk and then we're scared and so he got in trouble and we couldn't do it anymore but um to the point that I was referring to, like I didn't realize previous because I had to talk to my mom about it or she told me about it. I don't remember. But
Mhm.
since I don't remember the before part, I just remember the trunk.
Yeah.
She told me that he was drunk, and that was like I think that was like the determining factor for who got custody
Mhm.
in their divorce battle and like how much availability he had to see us. The only thing that
Yeah.
he had on my mom was the fact that, at the time she was like illegal, whatever else, Hispanic
Mhm.
family things. And
Yeah.
like he used that against her to not pay child support and, be involved in our lives when he probably should have not have been because he was just,
Yeah, the whole blackmailing
yeah,
bullshit.
it's just
Yeah.
he's a messy dude. Regardless of the fact, like, yeah, I just remember being in the trunk and I totally discarded the fact that he was driving drunk and trying to steal me from my mom because of the divorce, and so he thought he could get away with me in the car.
Right. Yeah.
Only remember the trunk. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they got
Um
me back. I don't. I just remember. I remember the
nope, you
trunk.
don't remember the four or you
Nope.
and you don't remember the after, but you remember the fun parts and
Yeah. I.
that's all your brain will allow you to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. There's a lot of shit with family. I don't. It's hard to
Mhm.
cover all of it. Do you think you covered the
It is hard.
basis?
I think I did. I think my a lot of my issues might stem from both of my parents. I do
Oh,
know that like my impatience and my anger issues come from my dad,
I
but
wanted
everything
to
else probably
say
comes from my mom.
because you said that there are some things with your dad, as much as we love him and he's great. Um,
Yeah.
my mom had some things that she also partook in that didn't seem like basically in my eyes I just see it as single mom did what she had to do and she got the job done.
Mhm.
So in terms of like if I cried in a store, um, she would just leave me like crying and leave me. And she'd be like, "Hey, I'm leaving the store without you. So you either get up now and stop crying or you're staying here." And she would actually like go out. She would leave. And so my abandonment shit flared, I'm sure. Um And
What the fuck?
it's funny now because I'm like, what the fuck, mom? Like, why would you do that to me? And then in addition to that, she used to tell these stories that I mean, I'm still very gullible, but like
Mm-hmm.
she would tell me that if I kept crying, I would run out of tears, and then I would eventually, you know, not have any, and then when she died, I would go to her funeral and I wouldn't be able to cry. And she's like, "Do you want that to happen?" And I'm like, "No." So that's how she used to get
Dude,
me to stop crying.
dude, my dad did similar bullshit. So when I was younger, when we were sick and I would
Yeah.
sniff a lot, he has the same thing, the misophonia or
Oh
whatever it's
yeah.
called,
Mhm.
misophobia, where certain sounds like mouth sounds or whatever would annoy him, like me having asthma and breathing too hard,
Oh
he
my,
would comment on it.
you can't
Um
breathe. What do you
so now
mean? Oh
I'm
my
always very
god.
conscious just in general of how I breathe, and I notice other people breathing now, so that's also another thing. Um but he used to tell me that if I kept sniffing, the snot would go up to my brain and I would die
Oh my,
because it would get blocked in my brain.
I just heard my laugh from your room. That's actually so, it's so bad, but it's so funny. It's so,
It's such a small
oh
like
my
bullshit
god.
way to get me to stop sniffing,
Yeah.
but
What the
like you
fuck?
could have just been honest and been like, if you sniff, it goes into like your lungs and shit on your stomach,
Yeah, and you're
and
gonna
you cough
stay
that shit out,
sick.
and you're
You're
gonna stay
gonna,
sick. But
yeah,
no, he had to include death in it for me
right. Oh
to
my
stop
god. Yeah, my mom did the same thing. She was like, yeah, you
because it
know,
annoyed him.
dying. I might
Yeah.
die.
Hmm.
I don't, I was very young. And then I went up until third grade. Like, I would tell people, I'm like, did you know you could run out of tears? Like, like, I thought it was real. And I was like, this is a
Yeah.
problem, guys. We need to fix this.
Yeah.
Like,
I
I,
think well into adulthood, there might be some things like in school that I was like, oh yeah, this is true, and it's not
right.
at
Oh, my
all.
sister would do that too by accident. I mean, her loving science, relaying those facts and statistics, whatever else it might be, to me, and then me
Hmm.
relaying that back to other people. It's like telephone or some shit. It like
Yeah.
slowly loses meaning or isn't accurate anymore. So when I would start telling people stuff, they're like, no, it's not. No, it didn't."
Hmm.
But my mom used that as like a tactic of like, I just need this done and dealt with, and so I do not blame her. And
Yeah.
it's actually funny when I talk to her about it because I'm like, oh yeah, that's where my abandonment issues stem from. Just kidding, because obviously it's my dad. But she's like,
Right.
she goes, no, it's not. Like, she just like the complete disregard is
Like that's
funny.
not my fault.
Yeah,
No,
like
I didn't do
it
that.
wasn't even that bad. Like it's almost funny at this point because I'm just like,
My dad laughs about
what?
it now, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I did say that to you, huh?"
Yeah,
Like that shit. I was like, "Yeah, do you know how that fucked me up?" And he was just like, it worked." Like
dude.
that type of shit.
At least he says, hey, I did it, but it worked,
Yeah,
But my
he's like,
mom is
"Yeah, it
like,
wasn't
no.
great, but it worked at the time." And I was like, "Okay,
I literally
cool,
told my mom, and she goes, no.
yeah,
I think that's so funny in my brain. And then
that is,
I'm
yeah."
gonna mention like one more thing, one more story that she used to tell me.
Hmm.
Um, I think this is why I have such a difficult time lying, which is a good thing. I don't want to lie. It's not good, and I think it's actually very convoluted and makes things much more difficult later on. Regardless, but she would tell me, being a Catholic mom, Virgin Mary sees everything.
Oh my
And she
god.
tells me when you do stuff. And so
Hmm.
don't lie to me when, I'm asking you a question because the Virgin Mary will tell me the truth. And so, um, the only reason why she said this though is because I forget the thing that I lied about. I lied about something in school, but my teacher called my mom about it. And
Hmm.
then, so my mom knew all the information, and then she asked me about it, and I lied. And she goes, don't
Yeah.
lie. The Virgin Mary sees all. And so, I started fucking
Yeah.
believing that, like, oh shit, hold on one second. I'm actually having computer issues again. Oh
Oh,
no. I can't hear you. One sec. Of course, this happens now.
of course.
Okay, there we go. We're good.
Okay.
Holy shit. I don't think there's any, like, computer sounds, but on my end, I just couldn't hear anything.
Mm,
But
weird.
isn't that so weird?
Yeah.
Like, why, mom? You could have just said the teacher called.
Yeah. If
Don't lie.
anything, my parents never used like religious stuff or anything like that, but it just made me more clever in my lying and figuring
Oh.
out what I could get away with.
Oh, God.
Like if like when you use like half truths, like you say a certain
Oh,
amount of
you
the truth,
say, yeah,
but
but you
not the whole
leave out
thing.
the.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That I do that
Yep.
to lie if I ever need to now because, you know, there are some points where I feel like it might be necessary at the time. I always come out with the truth. I can't hold it in for very long. But
Mm.
yeah, I've definitely have done that before where it's like I'll just say what I can.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you think you've said your piece about family?
Yeah, that's about it. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, people and I don't know. Like in terms of like how my family does things, I love them dearly and they're great people. There is some shit
Yeah.
that kind of, you know, probably played a big part in how I function and how I have my interpersonal relationships. And I'm
Yeah.
not necessarily blaming them or anything like that. And it's the same
Right.
case for you when we talk about family, but I do think it's a important thing to look into so that you can further, you know, develop and like see that personal growth that you want to see because without facing that, you can't really go anywhere, I feel like.
Right.
So,
Yeah. No,
when
it's
we
helped a
talk about
lot.
this
Like,
stuff, we don't mean anything bad by it.
right. This is just our personal
Yeah.
viewpoint, and the good qualities outweigh the bad, but the bad are still important to look at, you know?
Right. You can't just ignore them. Again, I hate avoiding shit. So confronting that.
I love avoiding shit.
Yeah, it's okay. Sometimes for people it works. It drives me nuts because I just want to get it over with.
I mean, if
Hence,
anything, talking about it like makes me feel less crazy about it.
oh,
So,
100%. It's like you know, when you say something out loud about your family and then you realize that it was bad or that it was kind of insane,
oh my
but you
god,
didn't
yeah, or
realize
even just
until,
in general,
right? Like
like
how I,
shit that people would do to me in like relationships and stuff. I'll just say
oh
it,
my
and you're like, I
God.
can't believe they said that to you, and I'm like, oh, is that bad?
Yes. And how I learned how to swim, I'm like, yeah, my dad just threw me in the pool at 3 and then people are like, "You
Yeah,
learned how to swim at 3? Your dad did what?" And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, I learned how to swim, didn't I?" Like some people are like, "No, you go get training for that, you know? Like you go to a
yeah,
school or you go where it's safe." And I'm like, "Nah, nah dog. I got thrown in." And boy, can I swim. I actually can only do the doggy paddle. I can't do anything fancy because I learned that way.
I see.
I can't do a butterfly, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know what any of those are because I didn't get formal training.
Breaststrokes, that
Oh,
good stuff.
I was
I
gonna
don't
say
know.
what? No,
Just
one
rambling now.
pause. Um, but also
Anyways,
like yeah, I just yeah, families
yeah,
can be a lot. But I'm happy where I'm at now, and I'm happy where you're at now. Like I'm happy to know you.
I am happy to know you.
So nothing um bad on our family's part. I mean, I think we're both decent people.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you guys
um,
have like further questions, or um, if you guys want to see us talk about something very specific, please refer to the Q&A section and tell us if you want to be anonymous because we want to respect your privacy. That would be
mhm.
amazing. Thank you for supporting us and listening to our talks, considering
Yeah,
they vary in length and whatever else topic. Um,
yeah.
but I think we have a lot of fun doing this. Yeah.
Oh, it's so much fun. And I
Yeah.
think next episode we're going to be talking about the orange peel theory.
Yes, something fun. Oh,
So
thank
fun.
God.
Yes.
I feel
Less.
like,
It's still
uh,
like deep talks, but more
yeah,
lighter
just a
topics.
little bit
So
more like more gossipy and fun than like, oh, hey, BT Dubs, you want to hear about my trauma? You know?
he BT dubs and fucked up.
Yeah, but oh God, we're clinically insane. You want to hear about it?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, thanks for
yeah.
listening, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.